The Denver Broncos are just a day away from kicking off rookie minicamp, and there's already plenty to be excited about. Not only did head coach Sean Payton bring in some intriguing talent through the NFL draft, but the team also found value among undrafted free agents. On top of that, there's buzz around the schedule release coming even sooner than expected. Let's start with some eye-opening data from Football Insights. They recently released the average age of every team's draft class, and the Broncos stood out. Denver selected the oldest group of rookies in the entire 2024 NFL Draft. While some may see that as a negative, assuming younger players have more long-term upside, this approach appears to be very intentional. Sean Payton seems to be following a philosophy that traces back to his mentor, legendary coach Bill Parcells. Parcells had clear guidelines for evaluating quarterbacks, many of which apply broadly to all draft picks. One key point: draft players who are seniors, guys who've had time to mature, graduate, and take responsibility seriously. We saw this mindset in action last year with wide receiver Devon Vell. He was an under-the-radar pickup, but he quickly made an impact, drawing 8 targets in the opener against Seattle before a rib injury slowed him down. This year, Bo Nix, another older prospect, is facing similar skepticism due to his age, but experience and maturity might be exactly what this roster needs. The Broncos' draft class averaged around 23.5 years old, still young by most standards, but old enough to better evaluate character, work ethic, and readiness. Rather than rolling the dice on raw potential, Denver seems to be building a roster filled with players who are more prepared for the demands of professional football. One reason the Broncos stood out in this year's draft: they selected more former team captains than any other team in the NFL, and that's no accident. It reflects a clear focus on leadership, character, and maturity, exactly what Sean Payton is looking for. There's also some buzz surrounding one of Denver's 7th-round picks, who caught criticism right out of the gate, but Payton may have seen something others didn't. The Broncos seem to view him as a potential long-term replacement at tight end, someone who could develop into a key weapon, similar to what Jimmy Graham once was for Payton in New Orleans. Right now, the Broncos are leaning on veteran Evan Engram to handle most of the load at tight end. He's expected to be the most productive player the team has had at that position since Julius Thomas. But with Engram over 30, the team needs a younger option in development, and that's where Caleb Lohner comes in. An article in the Denver Gazette gave more insight into why Lohner was Payton's guy. Lohner has a strong basketball background, having played at both Brigham Young University and Baylor. His former coach at Baylor revealed that while Lohner didn't lead the team in minutes, he earned the Mr. 95% award, an honor given to the player who excels in the 95% of the game when the ball isn't in their hands. That means hustle, defense, boxing out, diving for loose balls, all effort-based traits that translate well to football, especially at tight end. What makes this story even more impressive is Lohner's decision to bet on himself. He gave up a paid NIL deal at Baylor, which included endorsement opportunities and billboard appearances, to join the University of Utah, where he could play both football and basketball without the promise of NIL money. Utah's coaches believed he had a better shot at making the NFL than the NBA, and clearly that gamble paid off. Caleb Lohner's story keeps getting more impressive. Not only did he turn down NIL money because he believed in his future in the NFL, but now we're learning that multiple teams were actively trying to sign him, proving he wouldn't have lasted as an undrafted free agent. The Indianapolis Colts reportedly had a deal ready to bring him in, even though they had already drafted tight end Tyler Warren. That shows how highly they valued Lohner's potential. And it wasn't just the Colts. The Jets, Texans, and Patriots were also interested. In fact, New England's head coach even reached out personally. When someone like that makes a call for a tight end, you know the player has something special. Lohner's college coach, Kyle Whittingham, offered high praise as well. Despite limited opportunities, Lohner made the most of his touches. Nearly all of his receptions were for touchdowns or two-point conversions. Whittingham stated that with one more season, Lohner might have developed into a day 2 draft pick and become a full-time starter. Adding to the story, Lohner's agent played tight end under Sean Payton during his time with the Saints, so there's a clear understanding of what it takes to succeed in Payton's offense. That connection gives Lohner a unique advantage as he begins his NFL journey. Keep an eye on this guy, especially in red zone packages. With his size, wingspan, and vertical ability, Bo Nix has a massive target to aim for near the goal line. Speaking of exciting additions, another rookie to watch is wide receiver Pat Bryant from Illinois. Advanced stats show he had just one drop on 78 targets last season, a sign of sure hands and consistency that could make him a reliable option in Denver's passing attack. Broncos fans will remember all too well how costly drops were in that game against the Buffalo Bills. That's why Pat Bryant's consistency is such a big deal. Sean Payton has even compared his tape to that of Michael Thomas, and coming from Payton, that's high praise. Bryant put up solid production in the Big Ten without a top-tier quarterback, which makes his performance even more impressive. Having a dependable, sure-handed receiver who can create separation is exactly what this offense needs. But the good news doesn't stop there. Another name to watch is Klay Webb, an undrafted offensive lineman who received guaranteed money, a strong signal that Denver believes he'll make the final roster. Webb's draft stock took a major hit due to an unresolved legal issue from his past, but that matter has now been officially closed. The situation stemmed from a serious but ultimately misguided prank during his high school years. While it was a disturbing incident, reports indicate there was no malicious intent, and the case has since been resolved. Unfortunately, the news wasn't made public until after the draft, which likely caused him to go undrafted. That may end up being a blessing for Denver. Coming out of high school, Webb was ranked above quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix, a top 20 national prospect. He committed to Georgia and was seen as one of the most talented centers in the country. According to an article by Mike Cleese, some scouts had him rated as the third best center available. Without the off-field concerns, he could have easily been a fourth-round pick. Now, with the legal issue behind him, the Broncos might have landed one of the biggest steals of this draft class, a highly skilled player with serious upside and a fresh start ahead. The Broncos might have just found one of the most motivated players in this rookie class, Klay Webb. Coming from Georgia with something to prove, Webb has already impressed the coaching staff. His dominance at Jackson State turned heads, and now, with the potential to anchor the offensive line long-term, he's in position to be a major contributor. Considering Denver already has one of the most expensive O-lines in the league, finding a possible long-term solution at center could be a huge win, especially if Webb earns the job and performs over the next few seasons. Then there's RJ Harvey, a name that continues to rise. Reports suggest the Jacksonville Jaguars were extremely frustrated they missed out on him during the draft. They had already traded up for Travis Hunter, but were still trying to move again to get Harvey. Now it's being reported that Jacksonville might start running back Bashal Tutin over Travis Etienne. That's their plan B after missing out on Harvey. If their second choice is pushing out a former first-rounder like Etienne, it speaks volumes about how highly they rated Harvey. That makes it all the more likely that Harvey could make an immediate impact in Denver. A 1,000-yard rookie season? Don't rule it out. Across the board, there's growing buzz about this rookie class, not just on offense, but defense as well. Additions like Key Robinson and Jahad Carter are getting people excited. In fact, former Broncos legends are weighing in. Chris Harris Jr. recently said this defense might not have a single weak link, even comparing its potential to the legendary no-fly zone unit. And DeMarcus Ware? He's fired up about Nick Bonitto, saying Bonitto brings the same kind of disruptive energy as both Shaquille Barrett and Von Miller. That's incredibly high praise from a Super Bowl champion, and it just shows how much potential this defense has heading into the season. On top of everything, the Broncos are stacked with talent on defense. We've already got the best defensive player in the league in Pat Surtain II, and now we've added one of the most versatile corners in the draft, Jahad Carter. With so many promising young players waiting for their shot, this defense is shaping up to be something special. It's a great time to be a Denver Broncos fan. Even better news, the NFL schedule release is coming sooner than expected. While the full schedule drops May 15th, the league is giving us some early reveals. A few Monday Night Football matchups will be released early on May 12th, and Prime Video's game will be announced that same day. But here's the big one. We're likely going to find out the international game schedules by Tuesday of next week. That means we'll hear about some of the Broncos' primetime matchups before the full schedule drops. And let's be honest, with the hype surrounding this team and how competitive they've become, don't be surprised if the Broncos hit the maximum number of primetime games this year. It might mean some late nights, but it's worth it. Broncos country finally has something real to believe in.